Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror series, Cabinet of Curiosities, Graveyard Rats. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The story begins with the narrator showing up to tell us about the importance of graveyards and cemeteries. He goes on to explain that the soil of the burial grounds is usually full of dark secrets and even treasures. The narrator proceeds by saying that the vermin chewing on the wood or bones of these graves are simply doing so as a form of nourishment. But for humans, this might be a potential bounty. Then, he introduces the story as graveyard rats and walks away. Now, a couple of thieves dig up a dead body's coffin from a grave. They are pleasantly surprised to see the female corpse, which is filled with valuable jewelry. The thieves rob the precious jewelry and are about to make a thieving escape, but they are stopped by the steward of the grave named Mustache. He orders the thieves to hand over their bounty, and then he explains how human civilization was truly born when they first started burying corpses inside graves to pay respect to the dead. The thieves are sick of this annoying bullshit. They just worry about being thrown to the cops, but Mustache fires his gun and sends their thiefy bodies away. He then jumps into the grave and opens the corpse's mouth. He goes on to pluck a precious tooth from the corpse, and it's revealed that Mustache is also a thief who is using his grave steward profession for easy access to coffins. Mustache goes on to look for some more treasure from this corpse, but gets bitten by a rat inside the coffin. He angrily shoots at the rat, but it escapes, and this makes him grumpy. Now Mustache goes to sell his bounty to his boss, but it turns out to be useless because the treasure isn't silver, but pewter. The boss confronts Mustache for being suspicious because he thinks Mustache is keeping the good stuff for himself. Mustache argues that he's a man of honor, and this is a simple misunderstanding between them. He even accuses the rats of stealing the bodies inside the coffins, but the boss doesn't buy it, despite Mustache giving him a fancy speech about it. Mustache says that these are Salem rats coming from foreign lands and are highly resistant to his traps and other methods, which is why he's still struggling against them. The rats have apparently been eating all the bodies inside the graveyard and are taking away valuable items like gold teeth. Mustache dramatically states that he's been trying to get rid of the rats in the graves in order to please his boss, but his efforts haven't borne any fruit. Then, he shows the bite mark from the rat that bit him, hoping to score some brownie points. He says the bite caused him great pain because he needed to get an injection to protect him against any rat diseases. He uses up all the words in his vocabulary to impress his boss, but the boss is sick of his annoying bullshit and tells him to pick up his act because he only has 1 week to clear his dues. With no other option, Mustache goes to meet his doctor friend, who isn't too keen to see him and wants to keep him away from his morgue. After forcing himself inside the morgue, Mustache asks Doctor to allow him to examine some dead bodies, but is blatantly denied the opportunity because of his recent failures. In a desperate move, Mustache goes on to mention some of the past favors that he's done for Doctor, and spices it up by showing him some magic potion inside a little tube. This tempts Doctor, so he gives in and takes Mustache downstairs to examine his latest collection of cadavers. Mustache checks them out with hope, but doesn't find anything of value, much to his frustration. He notices another section covered by a curtain and wants to inspect it, but Doctor tells him to go away because it's off limits. Despite this, Mustache quickly opens the curtains and finds the body of a wealthy merchant on a table. The corpse has many gold teeth and Mustache wants to pluck them all, but Doctor stops him. He says that the coroner will get upset if he finds anything missing from the corpse, but Mustache is desperate to get his bounty quickly because he fears the rats will take the teeth away once the body is buried. They get disrupted when the dead merchant's wife shows up with her son and the coroner. She checks the body and gets emotional while Doctor and Mustache hide behind some tubes. The wife says that she'll bury her dead husband properly with all his previous medals and even the sword gifted to him by the one and only King George. This is surprising to her son, but Mustache is happy to hear this because he knows this is good news for him. He goes to a night house where hormone yoga is all over the place, and he even tries to be nice to a night lady, but she shoots his smelly mustache away, so he goes to bed like a smelly grandpa. Mustache hopes that the rats don't get to the merchant's body before he dies, but then he sees something on the ceiling. He checks it out and is shocked to see that it's a disgusting rat's tail. The rat falls through the ceiling onto Mustache, but the real horror is when an army of the same rats drop down from the ceiling and attacks him. Luckily, this is just a dream, so Mustache goes to sleep and visits the merchant's corpse the next day. He gets caught by the merchant's wife and all the other attendants, so he introduces himself as a grave steward and watches on as the wife weeps in her crocodile eyes during the funeral. After a touching ceremony, Mustache offers a shovel to the wife to bury her husband. But later that night, he uses the exact same shovel to dig up this grave, but he's shocked to see that the coffin is empty when he opens it. Suddenly, Mustache spots the rats dragging the merchant's body away, and he tries to hold on to the feet, but can only get one of the shoes in his hands. Mustache fears that he will be buried alive inside a coffin by his boss if he doesn't do anything about this to pay back his loan. With no other means of survival, he calls out to God and follows the rats through an underground passage. Focused and determined, Mustache catches up to the rats, but hits a roadblock when the soil collapses under him to form an open hole. Regardless, he finds a way around the disruption, but triggers a mini landslide that buries him under some rocks. Mustache breaks free from the debris, but has to keep himself calm because of his fear of the dark. With the rats having taken away his prized body, Mustache vows revenge upon them all and crawls towards safety. However, the rat army charges at him, and it leads to a terrifying sequence where he's attacked by all the vermin. Mustache does his best to fend them off, and even fires his gun at the rats to save himself. However, he loses his toes in the process, and it prompts him to shoot one of the rats simply out of spite. He is happy to have taken some revenge, but then he notices a giant rat monster next to him. Mustache takes a second look to find the space empty, but that's only because the rat monster is on the other side now, flexing its rat mustache right in front of him. Mustache cries like a chicken as the rat monster sniffs his chicken meat, but he manages to grab his gun and shoot it in the face. He tries to escape from the rat monster, although he ends up getting slashed by it. A tense chase follows as Mustache crawls away from the rat monster, but he eventually falls through the same hole he ran into. While following the merchant's body, he lands in the middle of multiple skeletons, and while it's scary at first, Mustache notices all the valuable jewelry that was being robbed by the rat army earlier. He finds all kinds of valuables, and even comes across some ancient statues that belong to the Black Church. On one of these statues is a priceless necklace, which Mustache immediately steals. However, this awakens the statue wearing it, which is revealed to be a skeleton demon. The skeleton demon attacks his body, but spares his mustache, and it leads to another fast and furious chase in the narrow tunnel, where he eventually manages to gain some ground. However, he finds himself in a tricky spot when the rat monster appears from one end, and the skeleton demon appears from the other. Mustache picks up the sword of the dead merchant, and prepares to fight the rat monster using the sword and his muscles, but he is easily overpowered during their fight. Luckily, he manages to trigger a boulder above the rat monster to fall and smash it into onion pieces. The skeleton demon jump scares Mustache using its skinny hand, so he crawls away and finally finds some light at the end of the tunnel, meaning he's close to the merchant's coffin. He quickly makes his way to the coffin and recites thankful praises to the Lord, but is shocked to see that the coffin has been locked again because he's been down there for a while. The rat army arrives and attacks Mustache, finally killing him with no mercy. Later, the grave thieves open the coffin, hoping to find some riches, but find Mustache corpse wearing the skeleton demon's necklace. Suddenly, his mouth opens, and the rat army makes its way outside his body and soon covers Mustache corpse completely. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.